So in this video, I break down Microsoft Access into the simplest form ever that anyone can understand. Alright, let's build our first database. Click the Start button, which is here. Search for Apps, type Access. The application appears here. Now click on it. It launches Microsoft Office Access. On the side here, we have three options. We have Home, New, or Open. Click New to create a blank database. Click Open to open an existing file. Now we want to create a new database. So you can create the database from already existing templates. Here we are. You can create a blank database. Let's create a blank database. So I click on blank database. Here I type the file name Kasawa Tech Company. Now in front here you have a folder icon, so I click on it to select where I want to save this database. For example, for now I want to save it on the desktop in a folder called Database Management Simplified. So I open this folder and I click OK, then click Create. Wow, congratulations. You have created your first database. You can see the name here, Kasawa Tech Company. By default, every database must have a table. So the database opens with a table called Table 1. This table is not yet saved though. The task you have ahead is to actually create that first table in your database. We have rows and columns in this interface. If you're familiar with Excel, you realize that Excel also has rows and columns, and that's how we call them. But when it comes to Access, every row is called record and every column is called field. So that is the difference we are going to have in the terminologies. Now, if we want to name this field here, we double click on it. It will be highlighted like you have seen. And now you type the new field name that you want for that particular field. So customer ID is now more descriptive. After typing that field name, you press the tab key on your keyboard and then it will take you to the next field to type it there. But I want you to note that every field in Access has a particular name, and then it also must be declared what type of data that field is supposed to hold. Now the type of data of course depends on the set of records which you have. For example, you can have short text, you can have number, large number, currency, date and time extended, yes or no, and others, as you can see them in this list here. Now, which data type are you supposed to select? Depends on the data set which you have. You will understand more about these data types as you use them. Okay, let's proceed. I want the next field to be first name, and the name is short text. Now, after you have entered the field name ID, you click the tab key on your keyboard, then you can enter the first name, then tab key again. Now you have these different data types still from which you can select. When do we select short text, for example? We select short text in case you are going to do a text entry, purely letters, or a mix of letters and numbers, but the number of characters do not exceed 255. So that's why we are using where there is name, we are using short text. Now here you see field 1 is highlighted. It means it is ready to be replaced. So I now type last name. After typing that, I press the tab key. Now the next one I want to enter is email address, which is also a short text. So you will continue and continue until you finish all the field names that you want, selecting the appropriate data types. If you find that you have made an error in the selection of your data types, you can still edit. But how do we edit? The first view is this one which you're seeing. That is called the datasheet view. The other view is the design view. you cannot enter the design view unless you have saved this table. So the first thing we can do is to save this table. You realize that as soon as I clicked on design view, it brought me to the save as dialog box. So I save the table first. So I'm saving my table as customers because it is going to capture the information about my customers. So I click OK. So you can see here that I have a list of the field names, then I have the data types corresponding to the field names. So I can change, for example, if I want to change zip to number, I just click on the data type here and then I click the arrow pointing down. It will still give me a list of the different data types that are available in Access, so that I select. So I want to change zip to number. So I click number and click save. Now there are some field names that may not be clear or easy to understand or descriptive by themselves. I have this part of description which is optional, and in that part I can describe, for example, let's say email address, and I want to say email address. There are those which are corporate and then there are others which are free. So maybe this particular one wants those that are corporate. If you are in such a case where you need the email addresses which are only corporate, then you will show it here that corporate emails only. Of course, this does not apply for the kind of data I'm working with, but in some cases, you may need such a description. So the description here gives you an opportunity to make your field names more descriptive. Okay, after doing everything that you want here, you click save. There are other options like field properties here. Like you can change the field size for the field. Instead of it going up to the maximum, for example 255, you want it to be changed to 50, you can change it here. Maybe you are sure that your email addresses cannot go beyond 150 characters, then you're going to change it here so that it even guides the user as they enter the data. Okay, so click save, and now for you to enter the records, you're going to open this table in the datasheet view. So click the arrow again here on view and then click datasheet view. It brings you back here so you can be able to enter the records. I think you also notice that table 1 changed to customers when I saved it. You can customize and save your tables in a more descriptive way, because now this one is going to hold data about customers, so I named it customers. All right, can we start entering records into this table? Yes. The first thing is click where you want to enter the data. For example, I want to enter first name. I click there and then type in Geoffrey, press the tab key, type in Kesawa, then tab key, type in the email address here. For example, I want to use kesawa.geoffrey@namagunga, then tab key, enter the phone number, for example 0754746161. Okay, email address, you enter the physical address, you enter it there, continue until you finish all the records. So this is the set of records which we have entered now in our table. Next is to click save. The save button is this purple one. When you point to it, it says save. So click on it. Now our records have been saved.
If you're a small business owner, you can use this simple guide to track your customers, track your orders, track your assets. The list goes on and on of the stuff you can track using a database.
A database can have several tables. Of course, to the simplest form, it can have one table, but in most cases, it will have several tables that are related to each other. So what next? We are going to create another table. So simply click create table. See, another table is created with the name table 1. You remember the very first table, customers, also came just the way this one is. So next, you're going to create it just the same way you created the previous table by double clicking here and then you customize this name to order ID so that it is a descriptive field name. Then press the tab key. It asks you for the data type for the next field you want to create. I want to create customer ID, and remember this is a number. The customer ID which you're seeing here is the same customer ID which is in the other table called customers. Press the tab key and continue entering the other fields. For example, now I want to enter the order date, and that is date stroke time. Press the tab key. Continue until you finish all the field names. Next I want revenue, which is currency from table 1. Now I have managed to create all the fields and declared their corresponding data types. Enter the records into this table. So I start. The order ID is an auto number, so it does not allow me to type anything. That's why you see it begins with new. So I press the tab key. It takes me to customer ID. I want the customer ID 1. I'm picking these customer IDs from the other table, which is called customers. Okay, so now let's talk about another field data type, which is quite special, and that is the calculated field. Let me go back to the design view, and then I change revenue per unit. I want it to be a calculated field. Where is calculated? Yeah, calculated field is here. I select it. It launches what we call the expression builder, and here I'm going to do a calculation where revenue per unit is actually revenue, which is in the table. So I double click on revenue. I want it to be divided by quantity. I click OK, then save the changes. I come back here, click that arrow and select datasheet view. Yes, there we are. Let me see. So now let's continue to enter the records until we are done with all of them. So for now, let's go with these records here. It is now clear, and you can see that the tables are related by customer ID. And so next is to save these changes that we have done to this table, and then we create a table relationship so that the two tables are related. So we go to database tools, relationships. So we click relationships. On the side here, you can see that we have the different tables that are related. We select them by double clicking. Customer ID in table customers is related to customer ID in table phone orders. So I drag this field to this field. It will bring the table relationships dialog box, and now you just click create, and so you see that there is a relationship. A line is drawn automatically from customer ID to customer ID in the other table. So we have created relationships. Now you click save and you close relationships. So next we want to create a query. So click create. What do we want to create? A query. You can see the group of queries is here. So I click query design. This is how the query design looks like. Still, I have tables on this side, customers, on orders. If there were more tables, they will all be listed here. And so you select the ones for which you want to create the query. So I want to create a query from these tables here. I can expand the tables by bringing the pointer here. When it changes shape, I can expand. So I now select the fields for which I want to create the queries. Select all the fields for which you want to create the queries. Now I will exclude customer ID in this table because it is already catered for. I can as well exclude the names. Let me remove the names from here. You simply highlight the column like I've done, and then you come up here and click delete. That one goes. What did I even delete? Okay, I want to delete first name. Then I want to remove last name. Okay, it's rejecting. Now save the query. Let's create forms. You click create. What do you want to create? We want to create a form, and in this part here you can see the form tools. The number of methods you can use. You can just click on form and the form appears, which I will discourage because it does not give you full control over the form. The best method is to click form wizard. So I click on form wizard. At this part I can choose the tables which I want to use to create the form form. Maybe I want order ID, I want customer ID, maybe order date, order field. Okay, then I can add more from a different table. Maybe I want customer IDs already there. Maybe I want their emails, I want their addresses, and then the city in which they reside, and the zip. Then I click next. So I've selected the fields that I want in the form. Next is I want a single form. Click next. There are different formats or layouts of forms. We have the columnar, we have the tabular, we have the data sheet, and then justified. For now, I will advise that you use the columnar, but you'll explore the rest of the layouts. Click next. This one is the title or for your form. So maybe I want it to be as order form. Let's call it order form, and then click finish. Okay, that is my form, and that is how the form looks like. You can modify this form. We shall see that later. To keep this video short, I have left out a few things, especially on the customizations, and I will do that in another video. At this point, another group has been formed, and that is the group of forms. Now next, you can create a report by clicking create. We have different options here for reports, but I will advise Report Wizard. Here you can choose a report from a query, for example. Yes, I select all the fields if I want, but if you want, you can select a few fields, but for these I want all of them. So click next, just click next, click next, and then if you want to sort the fields in descending or ascending order, the records in descending or ascending order, you can do it here. Then click next, and then click next and finish. So I have a report there which I can share with people. Okay, that's it. For a beginner level, I think you can now be able to create a database, create tables, forms, reports, and queries. Now, the whole power of a database lies in queries, and this separates it from Excel. So, if you want to learn queries and customization of forms in a more detail, please like this video and subscribe so that you will always get the tutorials of this sort. See you in the next one.